Most people in the trading niche will be surprised to know that you can actually make money from the markets without technical analysis, or at least very little. Personally, I've made about 100K plus from the markets without knowing how to read candles, charts, or anything else. And in this video, I'm going to share 3 trading strategies that works for me. And in this video, I'm going to share not only what they are, when I use them, but plus I'm also going to share what you need to know to be successful with these strategies if you decide to test them out for yourself. Now, just as a reminder, this is not financial advice. This is just someone who is sharing what has worked for them. So make sure you do your own research. So when it comes to my strategies, they're very simple. So the first one is the short term. I've had a great month so far, and you could actually see that, at least most of it or some of it, documented here on YouTube. And I do post up on occasion on Instagram. But anyway, medium term, that has been kicking butt for me. I'm going to share exactly what I'm doing in that. That is actually becoming quickly my favorite strategy, and I'm going to tell you why. And then third, this is basically my bread and butter, and I'm going to tell you more about that strategy here shortly. So the first strategy is my short-term strategy. So you may be wondering, well, how long is that? And for me, that looks like a couple of weeks typically. And the market that I use for the most part is gold. I do look at US 30. You can see those videos about my game plan, my entries, my exits, my profit targets right here on this channel. And then you can also check out, if you just have some time, this video from this past month where I made $7,500 on one gold trade and show you exactly what I did to enter that trade. And that has been a very popular video so far. So essentially my strategy here is swing trading. And typically for me, I typically hold for about a day, maybe 2-3 days. It just kind of depends on what's happening in the market and if I feel comfortable with that particular trade. And for me, I do have 2 different accounts, or actually 3 different accounts that I do trade from. So I do have a small personal account that I trade on, and then I also have some funded accounts. I'm looking for more right now, mainly because I want to be funded even more, just because I see the potential. So I'm researching companies right now, looking at the rules and just making sure that it fits with my trading style. Because one thing I have noticed with some of these funded accounts is that based on the rules, it does change the way that you trade. And I really don't like that because I want to trade how I trade. So the thing that I do here is when I see something, let's just say on the gold market, because that's what I've been trading the most so far, is I will open up the account on my account and I will look at where the market is. I will set up my order, and then sometimes it's entering in a live market, sometimes it's entering with a limit order, and then I'll do the same thing on the funded accounts. So currently I'm funded 300K, and it's not just a solid 300K. There's literally one account for 100K, another account for 200K. So I have to open up the window, place the trade for the 100K account, open up another window, place the trade for the 200K account. So basically this is just my process. It is a little bit clunky, but it does work. I know that some people use trade copiers, but there has been issues that I've seen with other people, and I don't want to take those chances. So I just rather do it manually. Even if it's off by a few pips, I am totally okay with that. With this strategy though, I use a lot of technical analysis, and I'll talk about my other strategies here shortly. But this is typically what I do when it comes to gold. You can see those breakdowns every single week on this channel because that is mostly what I've been trading. I also do a breakdown of US 30 because I do look at that when the price action is clean. It hasn't been too clean lately. But anyway, my strategy here is mostly support and resistance. So in those videos, you'll see exactly what I'm looking for, how I mark up my charts, where I plan to take my trades from, where I plan to exit typically. So this is a strategy for that. And then I have been incorporating Fibonacci levels lately. So another thing I've been doing is reading news and just understanding the market sentiment. So when it comes to the economy and reading those things on Forex Factory or just the general news, those are some of the things that guide my decision for this type of trading. So these are just all things that I use in a nutshell. Of course, there are other things, but this is at a high level to help you think about what you need for your trading strategy if you decide to do something like this. One of the other things that I like about this trading strategy is it's very fast paced. Money comes fast, especially when the market moves. Now, I don't trade the actual news. I either try to get in before or after the news, but it still moves. And then basically what I'm doing is I'm using this money to build up a business, and then also, well, this business, and then I'm also using it to fund longer term investments. And then I like to focus on one or two markets to really help me understand and pretty much lock in to these markets and really understand what's going on. So when I first started trading, I was looking at like 20 markets. I was looking at stocks. I was looking at options. I was looking at crypto. I was looking at indices. I was looking at all these different things. And just imagine this super long watch list at the beginning of your day is a lot to even process before you even take your first trade. With swing trading, I don't have to look at the charts all day. I don't have to trade all the time or even every day. You can have one amazing trade that could just take care of you, especially, some trade like this that actually could have been bigger if I would have held it, but I was happy and I wanted to get out. So anyway, so I do love that, especially because I do have a full-time job, and obviously I can't be looking at charts all day when I'm supposed to be working. So can't do that. So anyway, so that's strategy number one. So strategy number two is a medium-term trading strategy, and this to me is pretty much 3 to 6 months. So it really depends on how strong I believe that company is. So you may be asking yourself, why is she talking about companies when she's talking about trading? And that's because with this strategy, I'm looking at the general stock market and some indices. So the general stock market for me is looking at specific companies like Apple. That's one of my favorite companies. And then I'm also looking at other companies as well, maybe American Express or something like that. So typically the strategy that I'm using on these markets are different than what I just talked about up here. And sometimes I will post things on my Instagram at Chart Confidence right here. I'll post these screenshots, and this one is from Charles Schwab, and $1,000 in a day while I'm working. That's amazing. Then I'll also post other things. I don't know why I can't scroll. This is from Robinhood. So I do have 2 different accounts with different strategies that I typically use inside of these accounts, but I will post these things onto Instagram. An extra 14% or $1,400 in an account, not bad, especially when I didn't have to work that hard for it. So this is why I said at the beginning that this strategy is becoming one of my favorite strategies right now, because it is way more hands-off than trading gold, but I love gold. I understand it, so I'm gonna stick with that. This strategy uses options trading, and if you go back on my channel like 2 years ago, you will see a couple of options trading videos, because after crypto, I went into options and I just studied. And I've been studying options for well over 2 years. I really like it because once you understand it, you could really use that to your advantage. You can basically take a relatively small amount of money and turn it into a lot more money. Of course, depending on the strategy that you use with options, it can be risky, but it's all a level of risk anyway. But the way that I've been trading this for the past few months and just studying, leading up to all of this, for the past year, it's relatively low risk compared to a lot of other strategies out there. So I really like this. So basically, I'm holding these positions about 6 months to 12 months, sometimes a little bit longer, just depends on the company. With this strategy, I use very light technical analysis, and I do use some candle analysis on higher time frames. I do look at moving averages because I am looking at data that's maybe 6 months, a year, 2 years out. So it just makes my analysis really quick. I don't have to draw all these levels like I do with strategy number 1 or the shorter term strategy. And once again, I am using Fibonacci levels just because I'm mostly entering on price. With these types of trades, I'm not looking at candlesticks. I'm not looking at the hour time frame, like trying to get the perfect entry or the 30-minute or the 15 or the 5 or whatever I need to look at. I'm literally just entering on price. This mostly depends on the financials of the company, and that is something that I use to determine the long-term direction of this particular market. So usually with this strategy, I'm going long. I'm typically not shorting. I may do shorts, but typically I'm going long. And I'm using all of these things to find the best entry price. And then, of course, this definitely takes patience, a lot more patience than it does with the strategy that I just talked about, mainly because I may be holding this for a month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, and so forth. So, it just really pays to be patient and just let price play out the way it plays out. Another thing about these particular markets compared to, say, a gold or a US 30 is that they move a lot slower and they move with a lot less volume. For me, it's hands off. I don't want to look at too many markets. And at times, this was another key thing. I used to miss moves because I was looking at all these different markets on my watch list. The next strategy is a long-term strategy, as you probably guessed. So pretty much I'm holding on to this type of trade for 1 year or forever. Like forever, ever? Yes. Almost forever, pretty much like Warren Buffett. I really have this long-term mindset, and there are some stocks that I've been holding on to since 2011 or 2010 timeframe when I actually started to invest. And usually I'm looking at stocks, ETFs. This is kind of like a mutual fund, but basically you just have this pool of stocks inside of this particular fund, and you put your money in and you really don't have to think about it, although you should definitely research anything you put your money in. And then I'm also looking at indices as well. So pretty much buy and hold like Warren Buffett for the long term. I didn't even know that trading was a thing. The 100K plus that I made inside of the market, it was from just regular stocks. I wasn't doing options. I wasn't looking at charts. I wasn't doing technical analysis, nothing like that. It was literally just having a list of stocks inside of my watch list, looking at them and just kind of observing price over time. And this was a period of months. And then I would finally pull the trigger, and it would mostly be based on, is this a company where I use their products, or I like the technology, or I like the company? Do I see that the price is continually going up? So I would literally look at, say, Yahoo Finance and just look at one chart. Is it going up? Yes. And then I would buy. That's literally what I would do. Now, I do have a lot more information now and a lot more research behind all the decisions that I make, but that's how I got started. And I didn't even know that it was that it was called trading, because at some point I would only hold the stock maybe for 6 months, 9 months to a year. And that is a form of trading. Didn't even know it. So pretty much when I talk about my trading career, I really only talk about the short-term trading that's been in the past almost 3 years, actually next month. So I'm trying to figure out, should I count it? Maybe I should. You tell me in the comments, should I count it or not? I do like this because it is less stress than the short-term trading. Although, like I said, I love gold. And I do look at this daily. But before I started to become an actual trader and really look at these markets and really study these markets, I would only look at this maybe once a week, couple of months. Like I really would just set it and kind of forget it. But now that's not what I do. That's not that's not how you stay profitable. This strategy paid for not one, but 2 professional sabbaticals. So the first one was 7 months and the second one was 2 years. So definitely not a strategy that you want to sleep on. And I would imagine that if you're in this market focusing on short-term trading, that you probably do have somewhat of a long-term portfolio. And if you do have one, I'd like to know that in the comments, mainly because I don't want this channel to become an investing channel. I do want to talk about trading, but I do love it when traders have specific accounts for specific things. They have a trading account, they have a long-term or investing account, and then maybe they have other accounts that they just kind of play around with and, maybe test out strategies that way. So, because that's something that I still do. And as I talked about in this video, I have multiple strategies, I have multiple accounts, and I really just want to manage my portfolio in the best way that's going to maximize my returns on all fronts. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And if there's other content that you want to see on this channel, then go ahead and let me know in the comment section, because I do read the comments. I do respond to most of the comments. And if you ask a very smart question, then you may get a very smart answer with a video. See you next time.